All right, so everyone is wondering who the villain is in WandaVision. And I think that's where everyone is wrong. Everyone is trying to figure out who the villain is, when actually we have several. And not all of them are working together, and a few of them are actively, at least two of them I think, are actively thinking that they're getting over on the other one. So why don't we talk about this? Okay, so the first one, let's avoid Wanda for a moment. All right? Let's talk about the first obvious one, the one that everybody knows about because they told us in episode 7, and that's Agnes. Agatha Harkness. Yes, she is definitely a villain. She claims to be the one that's controlling and doing everything, that this is all her plot and plan. But is it? In the last video, I delved into what I think is going on as far as Agatha is concerned, and in a nutshell, it's this. She is ancient. She goes back to the times of Atlantis. She has seen her kind, magical beings, beings that understand how magic works, creatures with powers. She's seen them killed, attacked for centuries, leading up to what happened in Salem with her family, her friends, her townsfolk that were all like her. And even the ones that weren't, but were accused of being like her. I believe that she is under the impression that if she can get Wanda's hex around the entire world, that she will be able to rewrite history itself and make it so that everybody is like her. Maybe not as powerful, but everyone is like her, that everyone has abilities, powers, that they have these magical or, let's say, mutant abilities. And that is her goal. Her goal is more mutants. But now, is Agatha actually just working alone? Also, as I've already theorized, she has a coven with her. There is a coven of witches in Westview. She is the mother, grandmother of them all. She is the leader of them all, but she is not alone. I'm not even sure if they're on the same exact page as her. But for the greater theories going on with the multiple villains, it'll be just easiest to say that they are on the same page as her. And the people in Westview that we've already seen, such as Norm and Herb and Dottie, are all members of the Coven, which will probably end up being, as I've already stated several times, some sort of tweaked MCU version of the Salem 7. But moving on beyond Agatha, what is considered to be the real big bad. Now, there's been a lot of talks of Mephisto, and I think that the number one reason, I've come to agree with this, that the number one reason it won't be Mephisto, at least not with a serious rewriting and reworking of the character, is because of the China market. They are so they are so intent on certain things that are allowed and not allowed in their movies, and one of the things that is completely verboten in movies in China is depictions of Satan, the devil, devils, things like that. So having Mephisto is a major problem. Now, Marvel has already gotten through hoops before, like with time travel, which isn't allowed in movies in China, but yet Endgame was allowed in. So who knows how this is going to be tweaked or changed. But as I've already theorized, it is not going to be Mephisto. We've all been wrong about this. The big villain behind this all, that is going to be a moving force through phase 4, is either going to be the elder being Cthon or Shuma-Gorath. And my theory is pointing more towards Shuma-Gorath because he, as I stated earlier in the last video, predates the universe, predates time itself. And that is why Darcy picked up this whole message, this whole WandaVision show, literally entwined in the very energy of the Big Bang that created the universe itself, because it came through with Shuma-Gorath at the time of his inception. Now, there is something I didn't get to say about Mephisto. If they are using Mephisto, I have a unique theory about this. What if throughout the entire multiverse, although there may be hundreds or thousands of Captain Americas or Black Panthers or Captain Marvels or who have you, there is only one Mephisto. There is only one source of all prime evil and all things of deviltry and Satanism in the entire expanse of the multiverse. There is just one Mephisto. and he rules through all. His evil is the core seed evil throughout the entire multiverse. Now, the reason I bring this up is because Hayward, and I'm getting to Hayward shortly, Hayward was very surprised that Jimmy Woo didn't say that Wanda had a call sign or a superhero name identity thing. He was very surprised that he didn't say something like, "Oh, she's known as the Scarlet Witch." There's also a few little hints going on that really makes me think that somebody is aware of Earth 616, the prime canon, the main Earth Prime, so to speak, of the multiverse in the Marvel universe. Someone seems to know things from the 616. So that's what made me think that possibly Mephisto might possibly be actually in this, and that he is the only one. There's only one Mephisto in the entire multiverse, which is why he knows things. Now, this is tying in with Hayward, so let me just jump right over to Hayward here for you. There's been a lot of speculation between my buddies, between your buddies, between people like me doing videos. There's been so much speculation about Hayward. One thing is true. I believe there is one statement that can be said, that regardless of who you believe Hayward is or who he's working for, or what his ulterior motives are, there's one thing I think you'll agree with me. Hayward is a tool. Oh, he is a tool bag, this guy. Now, what I'm coming from is, I agree that there's some possibility that he's somehow connected to Agatha or Shuma-Gorath, Cathan, Nightmare kind of thing. Possibly. If it is, I'm not going to be shocked. But I don't think that that's the connection. He represents an evil in this story that is not connected to the other evil. It is not connected to Agatha. That is not connected to Shuma-Gorath, Nightmare. He is an evil unto his own. He is head of sentient weapons, and he was working on the greatest sentient weapon that at that time had ever been created in the MCU, Vision. Yes, Project Cataract does seem to hint that he was trying to bring Vision back online, but the question is why? Did he want to bring Vision, who has his own free will, and probably is more powerful than anything S.W.O.R.D can force him to do if he doesn't want to? So why would you bring this back to life if you are not guaranteed control over it? Because he wants Vision as a robot, not as a synthezoid. He doesn't want Vision to have his own sentience, even though that's the name of his organization. He wants a pure tool. Now, is this tool specifically Vision, though? We know he's tracking Vision. We know that he couldn't reactivate Vision. But is it actually Vision he wants? I'm thinking that a lot of people have mentioned Ultron, but I haven't heard any good reasons why, other than the fact that he's Vision's father and he created Vision. Well, in the comics, Ultron always has other plans. He always has contingencies. That's the word I was looking for. He always has contingency plans that involve his getting destroyed, and that some seed of his AI is locked away and hiding somewhere. And in the past, it has been in Vision. It has been in Vision's sister that he created, Jocasta. It has been in everything that Ultron has ever created in the comics. Even the drones of Ultron have the seed of Ultron's true AI, so that if he is ever destroyed, he's going to come back. Now, his original purpose in the MCU, not in Marvel 616 or comics, but in the MCU, his original purpose was to be a suit of armor around the world, as Tony Stark put it. But he gained his own sentience, came up with his own conclusions, became corrupted with this, that, and the other thing. So he wasn't what Stark and Banner had thought this was going to be. This guy Hayward's a tool. I can definitely see him thinking that they have the ability now to do this, that he believes that they can recreate Ultron through Vision to be a controlled force, which we all know is not going to happen. So Hayward is a tool. Hayward has his own agenda. He is not tied in with it. Oh, wait, I hear you all saying, but John, what about that hex of the diplomas in his wall? Well, Wanda isn't the only one that hexes are viable for in the comic books. She isn't the only one that is associated, I should say, with it. There was rumors a while back, and it seemed to have dropped off a lot of people's radar, but about a year ago or so, there was some talk with people theorizing MCU and where they're going with it, that AIM was coming back, the advanced idea mechanics as we saw in the Iron Man movies. AIM in the comic books is a scientific division of Hydra. Now, although the MCU is a little bit different and Hydra itself is a scientific/military organization, there could still very well be this connection that they're bringing in, because I think Hydra's pretty much dead. I think the MCU has had their run of Hydra, and I don't think we're going to actually see Hydra as Hydra much at all anymore. It's going to move into other organizations such as AIM. And AIM does use a honeycomb shape in some of its symbology. Hayward, if anything, is an AIM scientist. He is an AIM agent. And they want Vision/Ultron for themselves, for their own technology to take apart and do with what they want. All right, so now we've covered Agatha, we've covered Hayward, I mentioned Mephisto, Shuma-Gorath, well, definitely Shuma-Gorath and Chthon. Check out the last video I did, our best theories, and you get a little bit more in-depth on them. But I think, going back to Agatha and what I said earlier about not all these forces, even the ones that are working together, are really working together. I think Agatha definitely does have her own agenda. I think she is working in tandem with this other being, with Nightmare. I'm still maintaining that it's Nightmare right now, who is an agent of Shuma-Gorath. That's my main theory, if it's not Chthon. She's working with him because she's getting what she wants. Through working with Nightmare, she is getting the chance to rewrite history, to make the world safe for her kind, for the kind with powers and abilities. That is her goal. She doesn't care about the fact that Nightmare needs to feed. He's starving to death because of the snap destroying half of all life in the universe, and therefore for 5 years he has literally lived on half of his diet. And as I said in the last video, you try it. Think about how much food you eat in a day, and then for 5 years you can only eat half that amount. That's it. You're going to feel starving. So he has his agenda. He is using Agatha. He is using Agatha to get his own agenda done, to get the world asleep. And then who knows, maybe he thinks he can expand this throughout the entire universe. But right now he wants this world asleep so that he can feed. Agatha doesn't care about him feeding. Agatha sees him as a means to her own end goals. So as I said, she wants to change history so that people like her are not only accepted, but that they are the majority. And she is getting that through Nightmare, who is doing this all for Shuma-Gorath. Maybe Chthon, but I'm sticking with Shuma-Gorath right now. And yes, I know I'm still pronouncing the name a little wrong. Who cares? In the greater scheme of things, who cares? So we have them covered. Now, I did say let's hold off on Wanda, because that is a little bit of a different subject. While Agatha is being manipulated by a greater being, let's say Shuma-Gorath and Nightmare, she is doing so willingly. She is being manipulated them, but she has her own agenda that this is a grand part of. Wanda, on the other hand, is a villain of the story, but she is not like Shuma-Gorath and Nightmare. She is not like Chthon or Mephisto. She is not like Agatha or even that tool, Hayward. She's simply a broken person. Seeing her entire country get destroyed, seeing her parents die, seeing her brother die, having to kill her lover, seeing the lover brought back to life, seeing the lover killed again, being killed herself and brought back from the snap and the blip. She snapped herself. So we see her as a villain because of the circumstances that snapped her sanity. In the moments of clarity in the TV show, we can see the confusion and even a little bit of fear inside her eyes, especially when she talks about she doesn't know how this all started. Yeah, so she's not the villain in the sense that she's doing this because she feels it's her right to do so or just to be evil. She has been a broken person manipulated. So the villains in WandaVision, yes, Agatha Harkness, definite. Hayward, definite. Are they working together? Do they know anything about each other? No, I doubt it. Can Hayward be, what does Agatha keep calling her husband? I forget, Herb. Can that be him? Maybe, sure. But I doubt it. He has his own agenda. The evils in WandaVision are multiple, and they have multiple agendas. And they're all coming to a point here, now, with Agatha wanting to rewrite history, with Nightmare Shuma-Gorath wanting to feed, with Hayward wanting his weapon. It's all coming to a head. So stop thinking to yourself, who's the villain? We have multiple villains running around here. It's obvious. Did I forget someone? Did I forget a possible villain in the show? I don't think so. I think we're good. So what do you think? Do you think that there are multiple villains? Or are you still under the impression that there's just one villain and maybe his villainous sidekick? You know, what are your thoughts on it? Well, we're going to find out because episode 7 is going to drop, and it's going to be almost 50 minutes long. And the rumor is episode 9 will be an hour. And we need this because these last 2 episodes are really like the movie. It's almost like if you consider episodes 1 through 7 a prelude and a setup, a backstory for what's happening. That leaves enough time in these last 2 episodes to be the equivalent length of a movie. That means we're going to see something powerful. So you already heard my other theories, and if you didn't, go check out Best Theories, and you'll hear my theories about Magneto, about Professor X, and Doctor Strange. Let's not forget about them, but they're not villains, and that's what we're talking about right now is villains. So what are your thoughts? Did I leave someone out? Did I not cover someone? Did I not give someone enough of a grand explanation? Who do you think the villains are, and why are they villains?